tales. You're now watching two old farts making noises.
And we are live and we are back. Everybody, welcome to No Snobs or Knobs. Uncle Morton is, as you all know, is a politician in Norway, and he is in a session. And unfortunately, he will not be with us. He may join us later, but if not, you're stuck with the three of us. So it should be an interesting show. And the reason that I'm not having a cigar,
can I make a Norwegian joke then?
Yeah, please make a Norwegian joke
and just say we'll meet again then.
Will I?
Well, there you go.
Don't quit your day. Please don't quit. Yeah. Don't quit your day job. And the reason I'm not having a cigar and scotch is because after the show, I actually have to go to a meeting, so I have to not.
You actually have to work for a living. So you say.
You want to be my friend? Don't talk like that.
My father used to say, "You eat with that mouth, do you?"
That's right. You eat with that mouth. That's crazy. Talking about that. There's so much to talk about that's going on in the world, but I know that the global citizen wants to talk about friendships. So this will be very interesting to hear what the global citizen has to say about friendships today.
Yeah,
I'm sure. We've got lag issues, so I do apologize. So there's a cable or two. There's a lag. There's a leg and there's a lag. There's a cable that broke on the west coast of Africa, because I sort of knew about all these cables that are scattered around the world, but it's quite extraordinary in this tech world that we live in right now. We are literally connected by good old-fashioned cables. It's quite something. And the one that connects, well, there's about 8 of them. There's these giant cables in the ocean. And 2 of them that are the high capacity, high traffic ones that go, I think it starts somewhere in Western Europe, possibly Portugal or Spain, and then they dot down the coast of Africa. There's a bunch of them, but there's the one is a high capacity line, and that, or 2 of them actually, got taken out by a rockfall in some undersea canyon off the coast of the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. So, and I do know that there is a ship that's left from South Africa, which apparently we're the only people that can fix it. And it's gone up the coast. It was in Kenya, which is on the east coast of Africa, and had to come all the way around.
Right.
Dock in Cape Town for supplies, and it's shot or crawled up to there. And it's there now, and possibly in a couple of days' time, we'll all be back online. But for now,
wow,
it's going to be like that for a while. Yeah,
I like that. I like that when he freezes, it's very dramatic. It's
it's
like Boris Karloff. So it's very cool. So it's very nice. So you said you want to speak about friendships today. So let's talk about friendships. I got a whole bunch of stuff on China. So whether I do that on this show or Lost Dollar Business Club, I'm good.
Oh, well, I mean, we just had, well, you opened that up. We just had all these guys here in South Africa.
You had the BRICS. You had the BRICS, right? You had the
all
BRICS
conference.
Yeah. Brazil, Russia, India, China, Africa, which is
it's a good job that a dyslexic advertising agency didn't have that.
I know.
Yeah,
and now they've admitted another 6 nations. Good people. Saudi Arabia, Iran, the UAE. It's fantastic. I'm just wondering about North Korea. Get it over with, Anyway.
Well, North Korea, oddly enough, is now trying to convert their whole country to solar, so they won't have power outages.
Okay, is that what I told you?
Well, when I was having dinner the other night with Missile Boy, that is the propaganda that they are telling the world because it was in the Financial Times.
The Missile Boy.
Missile Boy.
Those
Missile
Rocket
Boy. Did
Man.
you know that Missile Boy is currently selling ammunition to the Russians? He was originally
Wow.
selling them to the Wagner group, but of course they seem to have fallen out
Disappeared.
of.
The
Yeah,
sky.
I was going to
They
say.
literally
I was going to say.
they fell out of
I
the
was going
sky.
to say falling out of favor. It's more like falling out of an airplane.
Yeah,
And
they fell out
so
of the
yeah,
sky.
so the Russian delegation has been there, and Missile Boy has also said that I think it's now time to teach South Korea a lesson. So
Wow.
You go well if they do. Just
so you know, but that's interesting stuff, I think, because at the moment, of course, the Japanese and the Americans are playing war games, which upsets him somewhat.
Ooh,
You know, he
Missile
can't
Boy?
watch his Missile Boy, yeah, he
South
can't watch
Korea.
his movies because of all the noise. So
you guys hear me at all? You hear me? You can hear me?
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. I was saying the South Koreans as well. That really tickles. What do you call him? Missile Boy or Rocket
Missile Boy.
Man.
No, Missile Boy.
He
Missile
gets
Boy. Yeah.
No, I like that.
I think
it-
the orange.
it-
I think it's an Orange Man statement, that isn't it, Missile Boy?
Missile
The
Boy
Orange
came
Man.
in. The Orange Man came up with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Elton
came
John
up with
came up with
Rocket
Rocket Man. Rocket Man is an Elton John song. Missile Boy came from Mr. Trump. Yes.
Oh, I thought he called him Rocket Boy in recognition of Elton's song. Oh,
No. He was calling him
No.
Missile Boy. He's like a Missile Boy, and I'm like, wow, you're
Yeah.
really gonna piss off Missile Boy, and he's shooting rockets and missiles all over the planet. So let's not piss him off too much. So
No, but then he went down and he shook his hand. He said he was an all right sort of a bloke.
he thinks anybody that's an autocrat or a dictator is an all right bloke. So
So that's what he said. He said, I
Don't
like the
forget-
Missile Boy.
Wasn't it in Helsinki a couple of years ago? You had President Trump and Putin standing next to each other, and they were,
Yeah.
I love you, man. I love you too. Nobody must give you grief. You must stop giving them grief. You keep telling them, Don. I seem to recall that kind of press conference happening. Am I wrong?
that was the press conference, and then Putin, was going to release, I guess, the pee photo of him getting peed on by girls in a hotel room or something, allegedly. So I think that's why he's whatchamacallit. That's why he's Putin's best friend. When the FSB and the KGB can blackmail you, you do whatever they want. So, but I think
I got to say something quickly.
Yeah.
We dump a lot on people, like dump on Trump and dump on this person. We have a go at politicians. Now, what is interesting is I was watching one of my favorite comedians last night, and that was a man called George Carlin. In fact, to call him a comedian for me is almost a disservice. He was like a funny philosopher. He was a deep thinker. He was a very bright man, in my view. And he said, "We're going to stop." He says, "I don't complain about politicians. It's not the politicians.
Right.
It's the people that put them there." He said,
"No, that's true.
The politicians moan about. They came through." He was talking about the U.S., but I mean it's global. But he said, "We moan about our politicians. They come through the American education system. They go to school with you. They're in the office with you. You see them in the exercise park. They are you. So what do you expect? If you've got bad politicians, it means we're bad people." Just saying. That's what he said.
Yeah.
He said it's not the politicians. It's the people who put them there. It's the people who vote for them. It's the system of how they get there. That's the problem. A good guy's not going to run for office. So
I also think part of the issue is the ignorance of the public, because the public doesn't read. They don't understand history. They don't even understand the legislation branches. They don't understand how government works. It's just sort of like, as long as they can go along with their happy everyday life, I don't think they care. I think it is really an American now popularity contest.
But we care.
I mean,
We
I don't
care.
think
We
it's a
care a
new
lot
thing.
in Holland, because we're actually saving up now to send some Duracell batteries over to the US, because it would appear that, was it the Republican chairman? He kind of stalled a bit.
Oh
He
yeah,
just
McConnell.
he looks
McConnell.
he looks like he needs a couple of Duracell batteries put somewhere, because he kind of stopped halfway through.
David,
So we
I resent David. I resent that accusation.
Yeah, it was funny.
He
They said,
said-
"Are you going?" He said, "They said, are you going to
twice
run?"
we've seen him do that.
Yep. He
He
said, "Are you
couldn't
going to
run,
run for
couldn't run for a
office?"
bus.
He said, "Are you going to run for office in 2024?" And it's like he just like it's like if you will, if you were watching a movie, it's like they just stopped it, and he just stood there. Yeah, he's got to McConnell. He's got to be in his 70s or 80s. He looks like he's
Hey,
old.
he's
more than that.
He's
He's
80
got to be older.
something.
Mitch McConnell. He's
Yeah.
got to be at least in his 80s.
Yeah, really, seriously.
We'll
Because the
find out.
crazy thing was that
Hey
the thing
Siri,
that
how old is Mitch McConnell? Let's find
I'm
out.
going to look this up
Let me check.
because I think
He's
The thing
81
that
years.
this-
Mitch McConnell is 81 years old.
the thing that disturbed me
Well,
most was that woman who jumped up to the side of him and very cautiously put her arm around his back and said,
Whoa.
"Senator, you okay, Senator?" And then
Yeah.
she said, "I think we have to move on from here." And then she winked at everybody, at all the press corps, as if to say, "He's, we need who's got the batteries." And
Yeah.
so we had a bit of a whip round here in Holland. There's a parcel going off. And with a bit of luck, because if he was a Duracell senator, he wouldn't stop, would he? He'd just go on forever.
Well, he's been there for a long time and he's accomplished nothing except blocking things. So I really think it's like the Supreme Court. It's like once you win an election,
now, I think.
but it should be like the president. It should be like the presidency, though. You get 2 terms, whether you're a senator or a congressman, and that's it. None of these are all lifers, and they don't accomplish anything. You know what I mean? They're just there. It's ridiculous. It's like you should be in the Senate or the Congress for 2 terms, maybe 3, and you're done. And
Stephen, I resent that. I resent that implication.
but
I think you're being horrible now. Don't take it back, please. I'm a very man.
Well, look at Strong Thurmond was like 100 when he was still in the Senate.
So what was his name?
Strong Thurmond.
Strong.
Strong. I'm not Strong Thurmond. Was a good old boy from the South.
I mean, is that what they call the child when he was born? So he managed to get out of that hole. So let's call him Strong.
No, David, you have to understand. This gentleman was from the deep South, where seriously, when he divorced his wife,
you mean
that was still his sister.
So they only knew a few words, one of which was Strong. So they thought, well.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, this guy knew Robert E. Lee personally. This guy was old, but when he passed away, I want to say 20 or 30 years ago, when he left the Senate, he had to be in his late 90s or 100s. Yeah.
His name wasn't Strong, it was Strom, David.
Oh, Strom, I'm sorry.
Strom.
Yes, that's just as bad.
He passed away. When he passed away, he was almost 101.
There you go.
There you go.
So
well, he had some decent. So he obviously his batteries were working then. So somebody put a new set of Duracells in when he was in his 80s.
But we really should have term limits, I think, on the Senate. Wouldn't that make sense? I mean, why do these guys stay there? They're there 40 years. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah. Can I say what's cool about it? I find very cool. He was born in 1902.
Yep.
Born in 1902 in South Carolina, a little town called Edgefield.
Yeah.
He died in June 2003, almost 101 years later. Guess where he died?
Edgefield.
Edgefield, South Carolina. Same town.
That's because when you're a racist from the South, you got to go where your people are. So
who does that?
Well, either that, or he didn't want to spend a lot of money on having his body moved before he was buried. So I'll go back home and just die. I'll die in the neighborhood. So just got to wheel me around the corner.
He didn't have much imagination.
Might be a saving money thing, guys. You
never know. Could be interesting.
I mean, he might be a racist who saves money. I mean, I suppose they exist as well. But there you go. What do I know?
It's a good thing our show can't get canceled. Yes, Dave.
So we've got all these guys. Well, I think they've left now, and I'm very happy because
the cable guys
created a nightmare. No, the BRICS guys, they've all gone now.
The BRICS guys, yes, the BRICS, they were all in South Africa. Yeah. Yes, they were. It was all in the Financial Times.
Not all of them. Not all of them. One absentee is.
Okay. What I find extraordinary about it is that we are, well, not we, them, the government of this country, didn't vote for them, but nothing to do with them, feel it's a good idea to be forming links with people with whom we have negligible trade, and the
Right.
people that we are actually trading partners with, we feel the need to piss them all off. I'm mystified. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me at all. Our biggest trading partners are the US and Europe, not Russia. Good God. And
Right.
and not Brazil. And I don't even know how much business we do with India. We do some with China, but US and Europe, definitely. And
Is the Russian oil going down there then to South Africa, do you think? So
well, I'm not getting any of it. But still, the gas prices are stupid. So somebody might be getting it, not us. Actually, someone probably is getting it. That's what they dumped in Cape Town. I think they came and dropped the whole lot of oil for all the ministers here.
Because I know there's a big hoo-ha in Europe because the EU is still buying the bulk of Russian oil because it's going to India and it's then being distributed and it's refined. So therefore, it's not technically Russian anymore. And then it comes back into the European market. So, yeah. So while Mr. Putin is out there playing with his drones and everything, we're paying for it. So
I will say this: there are a lot of things I do not agree with Donald Trump on, but that was one thing he did point out quite vociferously about Europe's involvement and reliance on Russian energy. Just saying. I do recall him saying something like that. Maybe other people have pointed it out, but he made quite a big deal of it. Whether he was doing it for political gain or tried to insult the Europeans, I don't know. But he did mention that. He said, "You guys got to watch out. You're very."
Yeah.
But then he had a press conference like a day later with Putin, and they were buddies. I don't know.
Right. That's when Putin threatened to show the tape. So then all of a sudden he changes his tune. He's like, "You're my best friend because I don't want you to show the tape."
I've got tape.
So is there a tape?
There's supposedly a tape of him in a Russian hotel room doing things that you shouldn't do to a farm animal in 40 countries. So yes, I think it's very interesting.
Do you think, Steve? Do you think though, given what's gone on in the news over there in the US and what's been revealed and what's been indicted and what's been prosecuted and what's been threatened and the list of charges, and they are pretty serious. It's actually quite ridiculous. Nothing like the lot we have here, by the way. Trump did nothing on the people here, but that's another story. In an American context, what he's facing is pretty hectic. And even just the threat of the fact that you get indicted means there's some evidence lying around. They don't just indict people for fun. That is one thing I will say. Now, do you think if they actually released the tape, people would go, "Hey man, fake news, bullshit, he wouldn't do that"? I don't think it would have any impact at all. In fact, I think might be rankings. Right now, the way it is.
Here's what I think: if they really did have that tape, I think what would end up happening is I think men in America would be like, "That's awesome." Women would think it's disgusting, and then the other women that are into that, and they'd be like, "That's awesome." But publicly, so people wouldn't be shamed, they'd all say that's disgusting and it's terrible. Meanwhile, 80% of Americans would be like, "That's awesome." You know what I mean? So I think that's where.
What is it? Did you say he was doing things with what?
So basically, allegedly there's a tape when he was in Russia doing a deal. I guess he was having sex with hired help that the KGB or somebody gave him, and apparently he wanted to be peed on, or he peed on them. I don't know the whole story. There was an article 5 or 6 years ago. I could care less, but it was that. And then the rumor mill has been that the Russians filmed him. And that's how they, if you will, for lack of a better term, have been blackmailing him to say and be their puppet because he doesn't want that released.
I don't know who that is.
No, that explains it. That explains it.
I don't know who that woman is.
Yeah, I don't know who that woman is peeing on me. Yeah, but here's the other interesting thing.
That explains why he's got orange hair. That explains everything because because there are ethnic groups in Africa where they wash themselves with the urine from cows, and that changes the color of their hair to sort of a red pigment color. So that's probably the reason why. Yeah, that's why he's got orange hair, because he's into golden showers. So that
tribe in Africa. What are you talking about?
This one of David's fantasies.
No, it's not a fantasy. It's something which is quite regularly spoken about here in sunny Holland. But
Yeah, because the fantasy
yeah,
of
so
everyone in
the
Holland.
Dave, you got me. Can you hear me? Hey, I will say, if you go to Mozambique and you've got light hair, if you go to Mozambique and you use the showers, this is true. My wife is blonde. By the time she left Mozambique, her hair was orange because of the rust in the pipes. True story.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just by the way.
Okay.
Okay. Well, maybe Mr. Trump has a friend called Rusty. I mean, in which case, then that makes sense.
From the Rusty Federation.
Yeah. So,
No, but
so
it's just, if it's very interesting, whether it's true or not about the tape, it's not material.
and the golden shower.
On the golden shower. But what's interesting though is if you read about all the charges, like one court case is going to start March of 2024. There's another case I think that's starting at the end of this year. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's coming up. The biggest one, which I still don't understand how people are like, oh, Trump is great, is this January 6th thing where he's like, let's just take over let's just kill the government. And John from our other show on Lost Dollar Business Club has said, what's like, there's guys in agencies that no one's ever heard of. How are they going to let that happen? Like, you know what I mean? There's like, if they really overthrew the government on the 6th of January, what was going to happen? Would the military step in? Like, was someone going to step in and do something, or were they all for it because it's like, oh, we can have a dictator, a military state, we're in charge, he's our puppet? I mean, that's what worries me about the 2024 election, is that what's going to happen? Like, and I've said this before, if he wins, I think a lot of people are leaving America, and I think there could possibly be a civil war because I don't think people are going to put up with it. The flip of it is if Biden wins, and let's just assume our elections are legitimate, and I'm not going to go into if they are or not, I don't care. Let's assume they are. But if Biden wins, is he going to go through this? Oh, I was cheated. We were stolen again, because you're still going to have a civil war. So really, in 2024 for America, it's almost a lose-lose situation, because it's like Dumb and Dumber, and the Republicans are hitching their wagon to this guy, and I'm not sure I would if I was a Republican. And the Democrats aren't bringing anybody in other than Uncle Joe, and Uncle Joe's in his 80s. And I'm like, dude, get a different vice president, because most people don't want Kamala Harris to be the president if you die. And I think the Democrats are going to have to step up their game if they really want to really win by like a landslide, not by 5 million votes. I think they have a lot of thinking they need to do. So yeah. I don't know. That's my thought.
Well, if anybody's interested in my opinion about what's going to happen in America, they should watch the Embers of Freedom movies on the 2OF Entertainment Channel, because it's not going to be pretty. The movies are pretty. The movies are going to be.
David thinks there's going to be a whatchamacallit. David thinks there's going to be a civil war in 2027. He's made all these AI movies that say that. So
in the US,
they're very happy.
In the US,
well, I don't. I think I don't actually say that right from the get-go, but I think, I mean, if you can.
One thing I realized living there for the time that I did, and I've kind of known this, is the strength of the US is also its weakness. Is it's not an homogenous country by any stretch of the imagination. It is literally 50 countries, and that is the issue. It could be argued that maybe it shouldn't be one country. I don't know. But I mean, I've traveled around the US, and, you go from, I don't know, Virginia to Maine, and you have literally gone to another country. Accents are different, the weather's different, the food's different, the culture's different, the sports are different, the interests are different, the people look different. The one's blue, the one's red. It's all very, actually, it's a Virginia blue, doesn't matter. The point is, it's a vastly different place. Now, you could say that in the UK, there are differences over the hill, the accents change and so on, but there's still some sort of a similarity or familiarity. What I did find in the US, and bear in mind, it is a fairly new country, a couple of 100 years old, spread out over a vast territory. It almost is one country and it almost isn't. And I think that's also being highlighted over the last couple of years. There are definitely two kinds of people. or maybe at least two kinds of people in America, and really just are not on the same page. And that is a real issue. I don't know if there'll be a civil war. God, I hope there isn't, because there's a lot of people with a crap load of weaponry there, and I don't even want to imagine what would happen. I mean, you thought the Capitol was bad. Can you imagine the whole country operating like that? It's just frightening. I hope it's not true, but I do think there is and just getting back to the George Carlin thing, I do think, and it's not peculiar to America at all, we really do have a problem in Western countries. This is still kind of a Western country. I know people don't think it is. It is. Right. We follow, it's a democracy in voting. It's probably the most democratic country on the continent. I can bitch about the ANC and the government, but I don't get thrown in jail, and I'm allowed to have different opinions. North of this country, that's not necessarily true. But I just think across the Western world, I don't think we really have a problem with how we put people in office. There are some. I mean, look at the UK. Rishi Sunak. Oh, you must be joking. And it just goes on and on and on. And before that, Boris Johnson. What a pillock. I mean, do me a favor. And Justin Trudeau, whatever. I mean, he's okay, but he's a total wet blanket, and he just looks like he's so out of touch with people. Again, that's just my opinion. But you see that right across the Western world. What the hell's going on? It's like we don't get involved with how we choose our leaders. And then we wonder why we have these morons. They're just morons. I mean, you look at them and you go, yeah. Someone made the comment, if our criminal justice system was working, he was serious. He said more than half the people in government in this country would be in jail. They are criminals in jail. Look.
Well, so if ours was working, it would be the same thing. But that's what we were saying earlier. Most people, it's a popularity contest. It's like, look at Nixon and JFK. Nixon lost because he did very bad at a television debate because he was sweating profusely because of the hot lights. And JFK was cool and calm. And people were like, oh, good-looking guy.
And he didn't shave.
And a good-looking guy. So Kennedy wins. So it really is, to be a politician in today's world, anywhere on the planet, it's, you say, a free Democrat, is you have to look good. You have to go to media school, and you have to learn how to give sound bites when you talk. You know, it's like you can't have an open dialogue. Like you can't, what we do here on our shows and other hosts on our channel, when we talk to people for 45 minutes or an hour, you can't do that because people don't have that attention span. They have 15 to 30 seconds. So if you ever listen to these guys speak, they're all sound bites. You know, except McConnell, who froze, you know, that's a sound bite in itself. But anytime a politician answers something, think about it. They speak for 15 or 30 seconds and they stop because they have to make sure they give you enough to get it on the news, but not enough where you bore people. And the only time you see someone actually talk is if they get interviewed, like the Financial Times, The Economist, whatever it might be, the Wall Street Journal, then they can talk because then the writer can write. And the people that are reading those want to read. So if you look at it in general, unless you're a pretty boy or a pretty girl, and you're camera savvy and media savvy, you don't have a chance. Like you're not going to see a 70-year-old that has a clue to it. Huh?
Then what's Biden there if it's about looks and
well, you know, listen, for his age, he's a good-looking guy. He's been around forever. He understands the media. He gave the sound bites. And then the other part of it is, I think part of the American population was just fed up with Trump. And I think they were worried if he got in, it would become a dictatorship. And I think that's what they were worried about. And there's still this part of America that wants Trump back. And I don't know if they realize, and I've said this before, and everyone gets very nervous. I think we're in 1930s right now. And it's either we're going to go right into 1939 to 1940, depending on what happens in 2024, or we're going to jump into the 60s. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how our election goes. And for people that don't know history, they're not going to get the references. So,
well,
do you think perhaps
are you going to be time travelers then?
So, Steve, I was going to say, I think the problem, and Dave, is the problem is how did we get to this point? I think I think we might have mentioned this before. The problem is we've the world, what has changed over the last sort of 30, 40 years? How do we get so bad? We don't have Churchills, we don't have Roosevelt,
Right.
we don't have these leaders. And I think, and again, theory, I do blame a world that just, it's almost like we want to allow everything. We don't want to oppress anyone. We want to just include everybody. That's a lovely word, inclusive and safe space. And I guess philosophically that sounds good. You think, oh, I want people to be comfortable. I want everybody to be included. We don't want discrimination. We don't want oppression. No one wants that.
Right.
And somewhere in that, it's like we've allowed everybody in. If you know, into, I don't know, there's got to be some standards. There's got to be, I'm not going to say discrimination, but you can't just have any idiot in office. And the feeling is that we mustn't stop anybody from doing anything. And what it means as well is that if you are perhaps a conservative and I'm going to pick on them now because you mentioned Trump and Republicans and all that. Yeah. So if you're a conservative in middle America, in flyover country or whatever you want to call it, and there you are very much an American, but I have to believe, and I've met some of those folks, they're nice people, they're good people. They don't want bad things for anybody, but they want, and this is where the power of Trump comes in. I've said this before. I don't know that people want Trump. I think they want this. And he represents it. They want to know that their brand of life. I don't want swear words on the TV. I don't want blasphemy on the TV. My religious beliefs are important to me. You can do whatever you want, but you need to understand I'm not going to serve people. Look, whether I disagree with it or not is not the point. But everybody, what I'm saying is, if you're going to include everybody, you've also got to allow for people who like a conservative way. They don't. Not everything flies. If the abortion issue is one that's igniting that country and probably the world for that very reason. People say, this is what I want, and I want to be respected for that point of view. And I think around the world, people like that. The conservative people, the more traditional things, whatever. Some people call them, you people had slaves, you white oppressors, you whatever. Now we go to middle America right now in 2023. You're a middle-aged white chap, and it's almost, and believe me, it happens here, but particularly in America, it's almost like your country doesn't give a shit about you. Right. You don't have the right to be there. I'm not saying this is true or not, but that's what people are feeling. You mentioned America's in the 1930s. The world in the 1930s is all about emotions, feelings. It doesn't matter about facts. It's about feelings, and you have to understand if you want these people to listen to you, you got to listen to them, and this is what's important to them. They want these values to be respected and acknowledged. If they don't want to use proper prepositions or pronouns or whatever it is, that is their right to do so. If you want to call yourself them, they. That's your business. Of course, you should be allowed to, but you have to respect. If you want people to respect you, you've got to respect them back, whether you agree with them or not. And I think the reason why Trump is he's probably going to win, and I hope whatever. The reason why he's popular, and you can literally have Putin releasing the tape. People in America go, I don't care. I don't care if he shat on a cow. I don't care. This man, this person. Says I can be who I want to be. He sees
but did he not do that before he got elected the first time round? He cut a deal with Christians and a big Christian movement in the US and said, like, I'm going to look after all your values. I need your block of votes. And I'd have to agree, there's a lot of people who are just
one more thing. Sorry, Dave,
doing their thing,
I want to say one more thing about this. The truth is, and we know this, and people with a brain know this, he doesn't give a shit about Christians, Jews, Muslims, Mexicans, a wall, immigrants. He doesn't give a continental about that. But if it seems like he cares, I mean, he tells people he built a wall. I read some story which said, if anything, there was less wall when he left office. He didn't build shit, but all he had to do was go and stand next to a big piece of concrete at the border and go, build that wall. It doesn't matter what's real. It's about what's perceived. And
Right.
that's why people like him. You've got the Jason Aldean song, which, by the way, I kind of like. And it isn't a racist song. And if you disagree with me, well, good luck to you. I'm sticking with that. And then you had that other chap with the red hair. These guys singing these songs. The reason why they're doing well is politicians, particularly in America, should take note. There's a big chunk of America that is pissed off. So just stop with all your the agendas that look like you are excluding them. Just put that aside. Go and talk to these folks. That's all they actually want. You don't even have to do shit. Trump will tell you he did X, Y, and Z. I don't know that he did much, any more or less than the president. That's for another debate. But he listened to people, or he gave the impression that he listened to people. And that's what Biden and the Democrats in the US need to figure out. They've got their quiet. They're all there, the progressive. They will always vote blue, but that's not going to keep them in office. And if they don't wake up to that big chunk of people in America who just tired of getting left behind, they're going to vote for Trump, and that'll be the end of Biden and the Democrats.
Yeah,
It'll be the end of America too. The other thing, though, if I may,
that is the echoes of the 1930s. Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. The 1930s. When I said the 1930s, I was talking Germany 1930s, not the U.S. And number two, everything you just said about Trump is what I just said. If you're not media savvy, can't be a politician. And he's been media savvy since he came on the scene in New York back in the 80s. Like he understood what media was. Back then it was the newspaper and TV and radio, and he understood that. And he has taken that to today. So where Biden, grandpa, is not a media savvy, even though he's been a politician for 100 years, because he didn't have to promote him, right? Because you're the only guy in Delaware. So the papers call you, the television calls you. Trump had to promote Trump. So Trump had to call the television. And so it's very different. So the next president, well, if we have an election after 2004, but in 2028, let's say, there's going to be someone that's very media savvy. Like Ron DeSantis doesn't have a chance. He doesn't have any charisma. He's doing book burnings in Florida. He's screwed. There's nobody on the Republican side that I would look at and go, okay, because they're all so far to either the right or the left. Nobody's in the middle where like, let's all work together. They're all like, we're right, the Democrats are wrong. And then the Democratic Party, all they have is Biden. And I'm like, that's not a good thing. You know, it's sort of like nobody's saying, what's our alternative plan? There's an article that just came out in the Financial Times today that says the biggest threat to the American democracy now is a third party, because then because we're a two-party system, which technically is wrong. So if I'm an independent and I want to run and I get, say, 85 million votes in America, but the Electoral College doesn't recognize my independent status, it would go to one of the other guys. So that's very interesting. As far as I know, So you've never had, and what happens also with an independent comes, they don't get enough steam behind them. So it's like if you have someone that's really qualified and they're like, I don't want to be a Republican or a Democrat because I think they're all crazy. And they say, I'm going to be an independent, or I'm going to be the Whig Party, which is really the Republicans, or they're going to be whatever they want to be. The issue is that the television stations, the press, nobody will take them seriously, right? Because you're an independent, you're not real. And that's part of our issue, is that you can't have 5 qualified people run. We have 2 people, a donkey and an elephant. That right there should say it all. So that's what's running, right? We don't have anybody that can come on the scene and go, listen, I'm an independent. This is what I believe. And people go, well, that's really cool. If he isn't going to A or B, doesn't work. And what the article was alluding to is like, if someone is a third party and they come in with a strong holding, they're going to take all these voters from Republicans or Democrats over there. And since this over here is make-believe, if you will, it's either A or B. So our whole electoral, even the college needs to be, I don't know why we have that. It should just be popular vote, right? Why do I need a senator or, to go, you get 3 votes, it should just be, listen, the American public voted, there's 300 million people, let's say 150 million people voted, you got 87 million votes or 100 million votes, you win. Like any other, I don't see that there's not an electoral college for mayors, for senators and Congress. Yeah. Not this bullshit where he has 500 and some odd votes and it's up to these idiots. I don't want these idiots voting for me. I want to vote for me.
The problem is, of course, that they're the only people who can change that voting system. It's the same as in the UK, first past the post. And the only people who can change that are the people in power. And they're already they came into power through a system which is basically skewed against them.
Right.
So why would it's like, and as the proverbial turkey's not going to vote for Christmas. So yeah, that's the other side of it.
Look who's coming on. Look who's coming onto his show. There you are.
Oh, we'll meet again. We'll meet again. Don't know where.
Well, this show's going to go long now. This is going to be fun.
I'm going to have to go in a short while, but yes,
that's okay. We'll Mort sit in for you now. So
is he with us?
He's there. I don't know if he's on yet though, but he's there.
Nice.
He's getting a technical thing sorted.
There you go.
Oh.
Morton, how you doing?
Oh, I wish I could say I'm fine, but I'm not. But
welcome to the show, my friend. We've been talking about the democratic process here in America.
Okay, good. So you're on, yeah?
We've been on for about 40 minutes now.
Oh, holy moly! Shit.
Yeah, that's okay, my friend. It's good that you're here.
Holy moly!
On the plus side, Morton, the show credits do actually have your name, so you've been credited even though you haven't been on for the first 40 minutes.
Okay,
and roles filled in for you, so there you go. So it's all worked out well.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what to say. You've been talking about. Sorry, I'm disturbing you now.
No, you're fine, my friend. We were just talking about the democratic process in America. There was an article in the Financial Times that said you have Democrats, Republican, and the biggest threat to the election coming up is going to be an independent. If an independent is popular, and we were saying the electoral college here should probably go away, and it should really be just the vote, not like 5 people decide who's the president.
But you are only 2 parties over there.
Well, we are, but it's interesting though because we have a Whig party still. You have the Independents. You have a Communist Party. You have a Socialist Party.
Okay, you have.
But at the end of the day, though, if you're not a Republican or a Democrat and you run for president, like just say I run for president and people love me, but I'm an independent and I get 100 million of the vote. The Electoral College would not recognize that. They'd be like, no, it's only Republicans and Democrats. So it's a very interesting system we have. I could be wrong, but that's my understanding of our system. And if I'm wrong, someone leave comments below. But yeah, so it's a very interesting system.
Must be a good ticket to truck up somewhere in the US and say, I'm part of the American Communist Party. Yeah.
They get votes every year. Well,
it's a bit like the Raving Loony. Was it the Raving Loony Party in the UK? They put a candidate up for every election.
Hooray for the democracy!
Yeah. Well, yeah, but the other side of it is I mean, in Holland we got the Dutch then have got 28 parties in the parliament, and it's too democratic, so therefore nothing happens. It's like a horse with 3 legs. It moves, but it goes around in circles.
We've got hundreds. Our ballot paper is literally that long.
It's the same here.
It's not a great system at all. I don't think. I don't know about too democratic. I don't know if that's quite the right word. I will say, sorry, I just wanted to say one thing quickly. You mentioned communism, and not on this show, but some other time. I'd really like to have a go at what people think socialism is, particularly in the US, and how
that'd be awesome.
And how everybody goes on about socialism and communism, which aren't really the same thing, because I don't think people really know what proper socialism is. And I mean, you're technically speaking, the education system in America is socialist. It is. So is the transport system. The taxes are by their very nature almost like a socialist system. Libraries. Any public form of infrastructure is a form of socialism. So I want to say to a lot of people, you do realize you're living in a very socialist system already, just putting it out there. Communism, that's another story. But socialism and communism are very, very, very. I mean, the Social Security. Hello. I mean, God. Anyway, that's for another topic. Sorry, man. Speaking of
Actually,
government,
we can actually talk about that in 2 weeks or a fortnight for the people in Europe on the next Nose Toms or Nos. We can talk about the difference between socialism and communism, and we can hear what they're doing in Norway.
why do, before you get to that, why don't people, you say people in America don't know what fortnight is, but I mean, there's literally a game called Fortnite.
Yeah, a game called Fortnite they think is a game. That's correct. But they don't know Fortnite is 2 weeks. Oh yeah, I'm not kidding when I say that. I said to someone the other day, we'll do this in a fortnight, just being a smartass. And they looked at me like I had two heads, and they're like, a fortnight. I'm like, yeah, we'll do it in a fortnight. They go, I go 14 days, 2 weeks. Oh. Because when I used to live in Europe and in Australia, everybody I spoke to, when they always say we're going to do it in a fortnight. I'm like, okay, it's a fortnight. I mean, like you just get used to it. And in America, I say a fortnight because I write my dates European, except here's what's funny. When I write my dates and it's like 10, whatever, I'm good. If it's under 12, I can't put like for today or for September 1st, I can't put 1/9/23 because people would think that's January 9th, not September, whatever, right? So
yeah.
I put like one SEPT and then whatever. And then once it gets past 12, like 13 can be 13 plus what, but it's people don't get it. And it's really amazing that I'm like, wow, people don't think.
Well,
America is a different country.
I had the same issue when I came here because I'd say to people, what time does the train leave?
Yeah.
And they'd say 12:30.
Yeah.
Well, let's say like hell of 12 in fact. So my brain says 12:30. So
Right.
12:30 is 11:30,
Right.
is it not? But of course it's not. Here it's the half before the hour. So
Yeah.
half past. Same in Norway, Morton, or not? The same in Norway.
Yeah. It's the same. We are kind of. It's strange, but when I have the word, I have to say Roald.
In Norway. Here we're gonna do the bike. We're gonna do the biking thing now. This is 20 minutes.
No. It's just the Norwegian name. I love it.
We have him on just for you.
I'm pretty happy about it too. I've only met two people in my life with this name. The one was a producer I worked with, and the other, when I was a kid, I worked in a shoe factory packing boxes. And one of the guys came to me and he said, "I really like your name. Do you mind if I?" And I got on well with him. He said, "Would you mind if I name my son after you?" And I said, "It's fine. It's just a name." And he was an Indian fellow. So his son, who's now, that was what, 30, 40 years ago. His son is, I'm just going to go with the English one if you don't mind for now, Morton. His name is Roald Rumpelstiltskin. That's his name.
Oh my God.
Good.
Yeah, so there's only two. And obviously, Roald Dahl and Roald Amundsen. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. I just love the way you are pronouncing the. I guess David, you in the Dutch are also have this. So you're pretty
you have to practice it, because one of the things during the war is they used to ask the Germans to say, because a lot of Germans spoke Dutch as well, but they'd ask them to pronounce certain words, and if you couldn't pronounce it properly, you were probably a German in disguise. So there's a very famous resort very nearby here. Oh, in Hague where I lived, I should say. It's Dutch is called a Badplaats. And there's a hotel there called the Bud Hotel, but it's spelled BAD. So the first time I looked at it, I had this bloody great sign, a neon sign on the wall. It said Bad Hotel. I thought, well, that's the place I want. That's the place I want to be in. And that's in a place called Scheveningen. And it's the noise that the Germans couldn't pronounce.
Yeah.
So they'd say Scheveningen.
And the R's.
Arnhem. Yeah.
And what about the R's? Because I obviously can speak a couple of languages.
Afrikaans.
Is Afrikaans. And I mean, it's not Dutch, but there's lots of similarities.
But yeah,
And
yeah.
what helped, my daughter can obviously speak it. And when we lived in the US and she had to speak a bit of Spanish, she was the only kid that could pronounce the R's correctly, because the R's in Afrikaans are, you know, like druk, druk, druk. There's that, which is like Spanish, like gracias, you know, and things like that, which people have a problem with. Yeah, and it's the
I had to basically you have to learn how to spit sort of, or clear your throat all the time, so noise, and then you could then you could do it Scheveningen, Schravenzande, and all this sort of stuff.
The province I live in, everyone gets it wrong who's not from here. They always say things like Gauteng, and I go, no. It is Gauteng. Gauteng.
Gauteng,
yeah. Steven, you're left out of the fun.
I'm good with this.
He even says Z. Steve says Z. He's okay. And he likes Celtic. He's fine.
And he lives in a foreign place anyway. He lives in Texas, so anything.
We're our own country here. So apparently they want to. They've been wanting to succeed the day that they were purchased by the U.S. They the next day they're like, we should succeed. So every year there's like, Texas is always like, we should succeed and be our own economy. I'm like, do it already then. It makes no difference to me. It's like, you know.
Yeah. Tell me if I'm wrong, Steve. Texas, as far as I know, is the only state in the union that said, okay, we agree. And they retained the right to secede at any time. Every other state was either bought, conquered, paid for. But Texas, as far as I know, is the only one that can literally tomorrow go, cheers. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I'd have to actually look that up, because I think the laws might have changed since the 1800s.
They voluntarily joined the union. There was no, they weren't taken over or bought like Louisiana or whatever it is.
Right.
Or I think, was it Arizona, New Mexico? They bought part of it, like the lower part from Mexico.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The whole
California as well.
Well, they bought
bits and pieces.
Yeah, but they bought, as far as I'm no, Arizona and New Mexico didn't go far enough south, and they bought the piece below because they needed to get around the Rockies. Apparently, I don't know. I'm not sure if that's true. As far as
I'll have to check. Yeah, if Texas should succeed, I think Texas would succeed tomorrow. If it really was just a good vote, I think you get enough people here that'd be like, sure, why not? Click, and Texas would be its own country. That'd be interesting. I would like to see how that would work. I would like to see how people.
A bit like San Marino or Andorra or something. You know, like just you have like a customs post, but a customs area, but you don't as such.
Texas. And you can be the prime minister of Texas.
Yeah, we're good. No, we're good.
No, he's from New York. He's from New York.
New York. Yeah, I'm a foreigner.
He doesn't.
They wouldn't want me.
Qualify.
And I'm Jewish, so right away I get 2 strikes.
No problem. Come on. No. You be ein Mensch.
I'll be a mensch. I'd be the mensch prime minister. I was shocked that there's a synagogue here in Austin, and I was also shocked to know that there was a landsman here when I moved. But we have a landsman, meaning another Jew. But they have a very racist grocery store. It's called Heb. So I was like, whoa, why are you insulting me? And it's actually the guy's original name. So when I first came to Texas in 2015 to do a deal, and I was stuck here for a year, I went to the Super Heb, or the Super HEB, people call it. And I took a picture to my friends and I sent it in New York. I go, look at that. They got a store just for us. And they were just like, you are not well. So it was like, that was awesome. But yeah, HEB, I call it the Heb.
What's wrong with Heb then?
Heb is a derogatory to Jewish people, like Hebrew. Heb. You're a Heb.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see, that's the thing about not being racist. You don't know any of the good stuff.
I just thought it was funny. So every time we go shopping, I'm just like, let's go to the Heb. And even my wife's like, you can't say that. And I'm like, yeah, I can. I'm Jewish. I'm about the only person that can say, let's go to the Heb. So yeah, but my friends in New York that was funny that there was a store called this. It says that it's called the Super HEB, and they have normal HEBs. And I'm like, look at that. They have a store just for us. And they just were like, you guys, you're just not well. Yeah. So, but that to me was very funny. So I don't know. I have a sick sense of humor.
But in US, you have the bird, the sea, whatever, you have these mascots or
the eagle.
Whatever.
We have an eagle as the United States' mascot.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Clutching a marijuana leaf. Oh, sorry, hemp.
Yes. So he's clutching something. He's clutching something.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, he's clutching a marijuana leaf. But there you go.
Yeah. And every
And
state
you
has.
you have a state,
They even
state
put on their money
bird.
as well.
You have a state bird and state flower and state.
Texas has a state. Every state has a state animal, and they have a state flower, and they have we have all that, which is really unbelievable here in Texas. So yes, we have.
Whereas
a little
in
bit
Europe,
of
everything's in a bit of a state. So
There you go. So.
State whiskey.
No, there's a couple whiskeys that are made here in Texas that are actually not bad. So I don't know if there's a state whiskey, but there's certain whiskeys that people are we have a vodka here made in Texas as well.
Wow.
In fact, I think I don't know if it's a Texas made vodka or another vodka, but I think next month are going to have a vodka company sponsoring this show and a couple others.
Oh, right.
Holy.
So how are they making the vodka then? Are you sort of using sort of sweaty cowboy socks or something? And
I think so. I don't know, but I hear their cows it's grass fed something vodka. It's supposed to be very good. So we'll know next week if they're going to be becoming a sponsor. So we may have a vodka sponsor. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah,
but then you will send some bottles around, of course.
Oh yes, I already said that. I said everybody's got to drink vodka on the show. I need a case because we got to get them out to everybody who's coming on. And in fact, in a fortnight, the next No Snobs or Knobs is going to have about 7 people on the show. It's going to be a big show.
7 people.
Yep, if they all show up, we're going to have about 7 different people. Up,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be a big show in 2 weeks. So the fans don't want to miss that one. That's going to have. We have some new people coming that no one's ever seen, and we've got some of the old people that people know. But I think it'd be an interesting intellectual dialogue, especially if we're going to talk the difference between socialism and communism or just politics. I think it'll be a good thing. So I think it'll be a fun show.
Roald is ready.
Yes, well, he's ready because he's always ready.
I was going to say, lads, I need to go.
We missed you already.
It's 3:48 here. What is your time in Norway, Morton? 3:48.
You're asking very good.
Yeah,
I have
same
to
time.
say 15:48.
48.
When my clock says 16, I've got to be in the studio, so I'm going to have to love and leave you guys.
Yeah.
My friend will see you soon.
I don't know what's happened, Rod, because you all of a sudden your
internet got better.
Internet got better. The camera got better. Everything got better. Yeah,
like maybe we'll fix the cable. I don't know.
There you go. All right, my friend. We'll see you soon. Have a good one.
We'll see you next one. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
All right. So now it's just us. So Morton, how have you been? Tell the fans. We haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, well, it's an election now here in my municipality, and
right.
I'm so tired, around in squares and debates and everything. Right. Today I was in a municipality meeting. May I say this?
Sure.
I had this headache and I fell asleep.
Oh wow!
First time ever in a meeting.
Well, it's an age thing, Morton. It's an age thing.
Huh?
An age thing.
Yeah. Or AIDS.
Or boredom. Or boredom.
Or boredom.
No. It was a very interesting meeting. So, but the headache just hit me out. I was.
Well, we're glad you can make a little bit of the show because we were like, oh, hopefully Morton will make it. And next time we'll all be with our scotch and cigars or our vodka and cigars. So yes, if they sponsor us, we will make sure that everybody gets a bottle. So you guys can.
It will no longer be a show where everybody's drinking scotch but drinking vodka.
Well, that was one of the questions they asked the person who brought this to us. They said, will Steve stop drinking scotch on the show and will he drink vodka? And they said, if you're sponsoring the show, yes, I will drink vodka on the show. I mean, water, vodka, they'll never know the difference. And then I can go to my scotch right after. So, but if it's good vodka, and I've only had like 1 or 2 good vodkas ever, I'm very excited to try it. So we'll see if they're going to be a sponsor. If they're a sponsor, then everybody will be getting a nice surprise, I guess, in the post. So
I've never been in Russia, and I probably never will
right,
go there. But they have the most. It's very expensive. I don't remember the name. I should have, but it's. I think it's called kind of velvet in Russian, and I
okay,
don't know how to pronounce that. But holy, it feels like velvet when you're drinking it.
wow, that's nice.
And Russian vodkas. You can say what you want about the Russians, but that vodka they know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, they know
Does
their
it
vodka.
does it like does it feel like velvet when you're drinking it, and then it's once it hits your stomach lining, it just feels like acid as it burns its way through? No.
Yeah, yeah. On the way down, it will it revolves, and then wow, when you got it in the stomach, you feel
Yeah.
the power. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I like it. If it's a good vodka, I will drink it. I've had good vodka over the years. I had some Polish vodka once that was like 110 proof. That was, and the guy who gave it to me says, "Don't smoke a cigar after this for a little bit." I'm like, "Thanks." And we were in Russia doing a deal. We were in Moscow and a few other places, and we had some really good vodka there. So I don't mind drinking vodka, but Scotch, of course, is my go-to. But if we have a vodka sponsor, then we'll make sure that we drink vodka. But like I said, it's supposed to be grass-fed vodka and some other like natural this and natural whatever. And I'm like, okay, or it's called, I don't know. I'll when they come on, I will get all the details to make sure that we give it right to everybody and promote it well. So yeah, so that'll
And
be very
and
interesting.
and the name is you don't want to say the name
Well,
yet. No,
they
no.
told me the name, but I think I'm screwing the name up. So I don't want to say
Yeah,
anything because if they
yeah.
don't sponsor us, then I don't want to give them any credit. If they do sponsor us, then the vodka will be behind me. And then also when I sit outside and have a cigar, I'll like have a bottle of vodka and actually pour it into a glass and make sure everybody sees it. And we'll talk about it. So hopefully, because I said, I said it's not just me. I said, we've got on No Snobs or Knobs, you got 6, 7 people that show up all the time. I said, they all need a bottle. So that's
Yeah,
kind of the deal. It's
yeah,
like, if you don't get a bottle to everybody, it's kind of stupid. So,
yeah.
we'll see what they do. If they get a bottle to everybody, then it'll be an interesting thing. It'll be on them to get a bottle. So it'll be good for everybody to have a little taste.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun.
Do you have the Swedish? I guess you have the absolute.
I've had
What?
Absolute before. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
that good. It's okay. It's all right.
But you have it in Sweden? No, in
In
US?
America, we have Absolute here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. In fact,
It seems
that's the first vodka I think you get to try here in America is the Absolute. Back when I was growing up, that was like the only vodka.
absolute
There was the
Smirnoff,
Absolute, yep, Smirnoff, and a couple others. Now there's like 50 different brands
Stalagnine.
of vodka. Yeah. So now there's tons.
David, I love the slogan. Connecting people.
Yeah.
For the vodka.
Absolute.
Yeah.
Connecting
Yeah.
people. That's
So,
great.
yep. So, and there's
Yeah.
Belvedere they have, we've had that. I mean, like I said, we have tons of stuff, but they're nice. But nothing like I'm like, oh, this is the best vodka I've ever had. So I'm hoping that this vodka will be like, oh, this is good. Like I like a good wine. I like certain wines, but my wife will say, even at dinner, people will order wine. I'm like, no, I just want a scotch because the wine I like is a little more expensive than anybody wants to pay for. And I'm like, I'm not buying wine for the table. I don't like anybody that much. I'd rather just buy a bottle and have it for us at the house for dinner. So, it's like, it's like we're good. So, so and the same with my scotch. It's sort of like I have the scotch when people come over and I have my scotch that I drink. And then when friends come over, we have the scotch that I drink. They get that. So yeah. So, it's.
David, I just saw the elephant behind you on Norwegian TV. There was a guy, they are looking for Nessie, and one of the guys
Yeah.
said, "I think it's an elephant."
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Obviously it's an element. Yeah. Just started another big search. Yeah. Big last week,
Yeah.
end of last week.
Yeah,
They're
because
really
somebody
going
thought
for
they
it.
saw it again. They thought they saw it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'll be
Coming
very
out of the
interesting.
Scotch. It's coming out of the Scotch mist.
but an elephant, come on.
Yeah, but it's got a long trunk, so it sort of walks on the bottom and it sticks its trunk. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. We'll see. We'll see what one day the Loch Ness Monster will be found to be the true or false. And everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, that's what it is." Everyone's gonna be sorely disappointed. I think, kind of like UFOs. Everybody's when they find out what it really is, everyone's gonna be kind of disappointed. It's gonna be the
No, I
Loch
say,
Ness
oh yeah,
Monster.
I mean, you say, oh yeah, we knew that anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Or when they
Yeah,
find
whatever.
out what Bigfoot really is, people are gonna be like, "Oh, that's what it is." Oh, all right.
Oh yeah,
It's
whatever.
gonna be
You
like,
have
yeah, okay.
Yeah, we have to have it here as well. You know, like huge pumas running around,
Yeah.
killing everybody, all that stuff. Big black
Yeah.
cats.
And
Yeah.
Bigfoot, I heard he only had one Bigfoot, and the other one is quite normal size.
That's why they call him Lefty because of that.
Yeah.
So
What if not?
That's
They'd call
too
him
funny.
Big Feet, wouldn't they? If he had two big
That's right.
feet.
If you had one, that's right, big feet instead of big foot. So
Yeah.
yeah. So we'll see. All this stuff is very interesting. It'll be interesting to see, like I said, one day when it all comes out, I think everyone's just going to be like, oh, okay. Like,
Yeah.
that's what it is. So, and we'll see. It'll be fun. So Morton, hopefully in a fortnight, you will be here when we start the show.
Yeah. Peace. I'm sorry.
That's okay, my friend. That's okay. We had a good show. We were like we were in the beginning of the show. We kept saying we miss Morton. He's a politician in Norway. He's very busy. If he can make it, he'll make it. If not, not to worry. And then as we were getting close to the end, you magically showed up. So we got 25 minutes with you, which is perfect.
Ah,
So
lovely,
we're all good, my
lovely,
friend,
lovely.
because we all miss you.
I miss you guys. Wow, I wouldn't. I wouldn't miss this for anything, but I did. Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah.
You'll in a fortnight, we'll all be here together again.
Fortnight,
and you
we're all
won't miss
back
it.
again. Yeah.
We're all together.
Get your whale meat sandwich ready. You're back
There
on
you go.
2 weeks time.
Yeah. I'm going to eat a whole whale for supper
Yeah.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Because I know people love all that about the Norwegians. That's the thing, endears us to all.
But whale is good. Good food.
Really? I've never had whale. I'll have to try it. I'll have to come to Norway and try whale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Very cool.
Yeah. Or you go to your normal sushi bar and just eat lots of dolphin. One or the other.
Yeah, flippers. I don't mind eating flipper. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
So, I can eat flipper.
Okay. Well, I mean, you could. There's a dead orca in, wasn't it, in Orlando or whatever? You could have eaten that. That's
what?
That died a couple of weeks ago. The orca.
Yeah, that's like,
Yeah.
Here in America, we take that seriously. The dead orca.
Yeah. Well,
and SeaWorld.
orcas.
Yeah, they have problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
Too
Well,
funny.
this one did. It's dead. But it's
well, everybody, don't forget to. While David goes off on eating dead whales, don't forget to subscribe and like. Leave your comments below. We will see everybody in a fortnight. Morton, we can't wait to have you back with us next in 2 weeks. David, always a pleasure. And everybody, we will see you, like I said, in a fortnight. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Morton, stay around. We'll talk to you after. Cheers.
Yeah. Thank you.